started. Yes.
Good evening and welcome to this meeting of the Common Council of the City of Huntington for November 12th, 2025. Prior to the meeting this evening, we'll have an invocation led by myself, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Christy McElhenney. Those who wish to participate in either or both may rise at this time. Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks this evening and ask that your Holy Spirit would guide and direct our words and our actions this evening as we seek to serve our neighbors and love them as ourselves. We give you thanks and entrust ourselves to your leading. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And with that, we will call the business meeting to order, beginning with a roll call.
Dwight.
Here.
Chapman.
Present.
Felton.
Here.
Funk.
Here.
Johnson is absent. Pike. Present. Rensberger.
Present.
And noting that we have a member participating remotely, all votes this evening will be roll call votes as per usual, but we'll need Dwight to keep his camera and audio on throughout the meeting. First item on the agenda in the business meeting is a public hearing regarding the preliminary resolution designating economic revitalization areas for 26 and 27. This time, we'll open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public here to address council on the matter? Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we will close the public hearing and open a second public hearing regarding the additional appropriation ordinance 22C25 from the General Fund, Public Safety Lit Fund, and Local Road and Street Fund. This time, are there any members of the public to address council on the matter? Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we will close the public hearing regarding that additional appropriation and commence with opening a public hearing regarding a second additional appropriation for ordinance 23C25 from GO Bond number 4. Any members of the public here to address council on the matter this evening? Not seeing or hearing any members of the public to address council, we will then close the public hearing and move along to consideration of the minutes of the October 14th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion to bring those to the floor for consideration and adoption?
So moved.
We have a motion and second. Further discussion and consideration of the minutes as submitted. Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of adoption of the minutes as submitted. Christie?
Chapman.
Yes.
Felton.
Yes.
Funk.
Yes.
Pike.
Yes.
Rensberger.
Yes.
Brodigan.
Yes.
Thank you. And moving along to reports from committees, boards, or commissions. Charlie, anything this evening?
No, sir, thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, nothing here.
PJ?
Nothing here.
Andrew?
Nothing at this time.
David? Graydon?
Yes. So we did get the Google form sent out. I think we got over 1/6 of the entire high school, which I'm very happy with. So we had very good input with that. So right now we're at the point of brainstorming what exactly we're gonna do, but it will be probably something more entertainment related for like teenagers and stuff to do to get outside the house. That was like the big consensus with everyone, was they would like more things for teens to be able to do. So now we're just in the brainstorming phase of what to do and how to do it.
Excellent. Any questions for Graydon, council members? Thank you. Also with us this evening, we have Dr. Matt Flieger from the Huntington County Health Department and Amber Rensberger from the Community Foundation to provide an update on the distribution of opioid settlement funds for 2025.
Thank you for having us again this year. So Wanted to come and be able to give an update again about how the opiate settlement funds have been distributed this year. As you know, the opiate settlement funds started in 2022, coming down to the county and city and municipalities. This all comes from lawsuits and settlements with companies that were distributing opiates and marketing opiates in inappropriate ways to patients. And Huntington County, Huntington City are going to be getting $2.4 million over 15 years. And we had the city and the county combined all of the money and just move it over to the community foundation to be able to give that money out in a way that's has high integrity, efficiency, and accountability. And so we can ensure that people are using the money the way that they say they're going to use the money, and that they also are applying in a very appropriate way, and we use all of those methods that the community foundation already has in place. And so Amber is in charge of getting those grant reports back from people, and so that if, when they're applying in the future, we know what they've done with the money in the past and that they're going to use the money appropriately. So this year, we were able to give away to 6 different entities, and the first one was to the Sheriff's Department for a program called the Jail Liaison Program. So this is, if you've ever seen anything on Facebook or anything with Jamie Karst-Fox, that is what she does in jail, and so she is helping inmates, one, with doing what's called moral recognition therapy while in jail and helping them also get their GED, and doing, working on helping them transition out of jail. And then she's also helping them, if they need to, once they leave jail, either get a driver's license, get birth certificates, or get them to a recovery home. And so this was not happening prior to Jamie being in this role. And over the first 2 years of her position, I want to say it's like 140 people she was able to get into recovery centers after leaving jail, which then you watch the jail population since Jamie's come on board, it's decreased dramatically. And so recidivism is kind of how we're monitoring the success of that program. So they got $10,000 just for supplies and books and things that they're using to work with inmates while in jail. New Life Ministries got $12,000 to help support programming for their men's and women's home. And then Drug Court got $53,000. That was the biggest distribution. Along with a lot of other people getting budget cuts, drug courts across the state got cuts for some reason. We know that they are evidence-based and they work well to decrease, again, kind of people cycling in and out of the judicial system, and our drug court has been very successful in that. And they had a position for a peer recovery coach that was being a grant-funded position, which was going to be, that money was going to be taken away at the end of the year, and then that position was going to be lost, which was going to put the burden back on a lot of other staff who just don't have time to do that. So we're able to fund that position for this next year while they continue to go out and find other grant resources, or funding comes back in the future for these positions as the State House hears and sees the need for drug courts in our communities. Place of Grace got $32,000 for programming. Community Care, which is in actually Wells County, got $3,000, and I know there was a lot of questions about why does this organization get money from us when Wells County gets their own money. This is essentially scholarship money for women who come from Huntington County and go to their program, so it's kind of paying fees for those women, because we know sometimes it's better for some women and men to do recovery outside of the community that they have been in. And speaking of, and Amber will touch on this more, I've been in communication with Wells County and of trying to get them to kind of mimic what we're doing here, so they can just their funds a little bit more efficiently in the future. And then the other one was for Boys and Girls Club. They got $25,000, which is for a program called the BOTVIN program, which is an evidence-based prevention program. And so they've already been doing that with high schoolers, and this will pay for doing it with elementary and middle school. And so it's a high-quality prevention programming. Boys and Girls Club in our community is serving a lot of people, and so it's a really great resource for us to be able to support Boys and Girls Club in doing prevention programming. Because we were able to fund them, we just got word last week, I think, that the state is doing a dollar-for-dollar match for that program. So it actually, we leveraged a lot of money for Boys and Girls Club by using some of our money for them. So that's really exciting. And again, you know, I'll mention we follow all of the Attorney General's guidelines on how this money needs to be distributed, and we're ensuring that all the programs, when they're applying, they are applying according to what the Attorney General says this money needs to be going to, and we know that we are in compliance with what the state is expecting out of us. So I'll let you speak on any other.
Yeah, as he mentioned, it was really neat, especially with the Community Care of Northeast Indiana, since they are brick and mortared in another county. Going through our process, they were really impressed with what we were able to do and how we were able to all work together, from government to nonprofits, to get that money out the door and back into the hands of our community and people that are using that to support people that are in recovery. So I got to meet with a city council member from Bluffton and was able to share a lot of how our process works and what we're doing well. Steuben County already uses our a model of what we're doing with their process, and it's this isn't something to be competitive over. When one of us is doing well, all of us is doing well. So it's been really neat to collaborate with some of those people. A lot of the state program, which is where the Boys and Girls Club got their match, was really incentivized because so many counties in Indiana are not getting this money out the door because elected officials don't want to run a grant process and have to check all that reporting and do all that compliance backing, which makes total sense. So we're really glad that we get to continue to see this benefit people and impact people. And if anybody's interested in any of those reports and the feedback and the impact that those funds are already having, I'm happy to share or speak on any of that. Any questions about our process or where any of the money went this year? Thanks so much.
Thank you both for the report this evening. With the drug court and state cuts, is there anything statewide as far as coordinating efforts on encouraging them to reconsider those cuts for the upcoming budget cycles?
Yeah, I don't know the full state of that. I would assume, I'm going to make an assumption that Judge Newton and Aaron Wiley has been in communication with lawmakers, and it's not just our county, it was statewide that a lot of drug courts got cut. And so I don't know the stats.
So I know the Mayors and Commissioners Caucus for Northeast Indiana has made that a legislative priority, but if the courts would lend their opinion to the matter, that would help greatly. So especially if there's data to back it up and show how it's more cost effective and
right. And Aaron Wiley
works better.
Is that person who has a lot of solid data behind it.
And then in the few years that we've been funding through this model and structure, what have you guys learned about programs here in the community that work, the types of programs that work more effectively than others?
You know,
or investments?
Yeah, I mean, the investments kind of changed every year, and so I think we try to impress upon organizations, like, you can't rely on our money for just coming back to us every year and expecting to get the same amount every year. We need to see that you are growing and working on fundraising and stability in different ways, and so because every year things pop up. And funding change, and so last year we were able to fund police surveillance equipment, but this year they were able to get it from a different pot of money, and so I think what we're trying to do with this money is to keep our ears out for who's been cut in other areas and may need a little bit of coverage for some time to be able to keep doing what they're doing, has been really a lot of our strategy. So it's varied, but I think what we're listening for too is recidivism going down? That's a big one for us. Is the jail population going down? It was not for a while. And then also, how is our overdose rates going? And not just overdose rates, but Narcan use. So we know that our overdose rates in Huntington County are dramatically down this year. I want to say I don't have the number exactly in front of me, but I think it's this year so far, and in this last quarter we had 0. So I'm on a committee that runs the suicide overdose fatality review. We have a big group of people that review every case. In this quarter we have no cases, which is a first for us for a very long time. So that's exciting. And talking with, we watched the Narcan use and response for Narcan use, and that's down as well. So the things that we're doing in Huntington County are important. That's how we monitor.
Thanks for your leadership with it. Appreciate it. Moving along on the agenda, any petitions or comments from citizens this evening?
Nope.
First and only item under old business, we have second and final reading of ordinance 21C25. Christie?
Ordinance 21C25, this ordinance, if adopted, authorizes the issuance of general obligation bonds to pay for capital projects for the city.
Okay. Is there a motion to bring ordinance 21C25 to the floor for second and final reading and adoption?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion and consideration? Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of approval on second and final reading of ordinance 21C25. Christie?
Felton,
Yes.
Funk,
Yes.
Pike,
Yes.
Rendsberger,
Yes.
Brottigam,
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. Moving along to new business, first and final reading of resolution 5R25. Christie?
Resolution 5R25, this resolution, if adopted, would designate areas within the city of Huntington zoned Industrial Park IP, Business Park BP, Light Industry I1, and General Industry I2 as economic revitalization areas for the years 2026 and 2027.
Is there a motion to bring resolution 5R25 to the floor for consideration and adoption on first and final reading?
So moved. Second.
A motion and second. Mr. Hartberg.
Thank you. Tax abatement's an economic development tool that allows Indiana municipalities to reduce the taxes paid on certain capital improvements by property owners. The tax abatement is a two-step process. The first is an area must be designated as an economic revitalization area. Resolution 5R25, if adopted, would establish as economic development areas real estate in the city's industrial park, business park, light industry, and general industry zoning areas. That way, when applicants who own property within those areas wish to apply for tax abatement, they don't have to go through the first step of designating the area. And then their Form SB1 can just be considered by council. To be sure, though, tax abatements are available outside of those areas. Those applicants would just have to go through the whole process of designating the property as an ERA and then reviewing the Form SB1. So it's available to anybody, but the city takes care of the first step in those limited areas.
Further questions or discussion by council members?
So this does it for 2 years and then sunsets in 27?
Yes.
So if it's an advantage to continue, we have to redo it? Okay. Oh, it's a 2-year process. Okay. Thank you, Christie.
And for the benefit of listeners and for council members, of course, an abatement is a phase-in of a new tax obligation. So this is not a reduction of current taxes paid by the taxpayer. It is a phase-in based on that capital improvement project that they're making. So as they make investments, this helps them with those capital costs and offsetting them. Further question and discussion? Seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of approval and adoption on first and final reading of Resolution 5R25. Christie?
Funk,
Yes.
Pike,
Yes.
Rensberger,
Yes.
Brottigam,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Felton.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving along, first reading of ordinance 22C25. Christie?
Ordinance 22C25. This ordinance, if adopted, would provide additional funding to the Local Road and Street Fund, Highway Construction, 2202-018-434, General Fund, Board of Works, Computer, 1101-001-397, City Hall Water, 1101-002-353, City Hall Building and Fixed Equipment, 1101-002-421, Fire Overtime, 1101-006-119, Fire Equipment Repair, 1101-006-362, Police Drug Seizure Forfeiture, 1101-010-324, Public Safety Lit, 2240-001-397, and Public Safety Lit Equipment, 2240-001-441, for a total additional appropriation of $335,564.59.
Is there a motion to bring ordinance 22C25 to the floor for consideration on first reading?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second, and further discussion and consideration by council members. We do have department heads here to elaborate on various line items. Any questions or
question.
discussion?
Quick question here. Is the City Hall water and the City Hall building and fixed equipment, is that connected to the City Hall renovation project?
I'm going to invite Director Kutchers up to elaborate on that. It's connected in the sense of it highlights why we're doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so the large reason behind the City Hall water being so far above budget was due to a change we had to make to how the city buildings HVAC system, mainly the air conditioning portion of that, worked. When we had some equipment breakdowns on it about a year ago, and we had a company come in to fix the fact that the HVAC wasn't working, the air conditioning, they found some, the way the system was previously connected and built did not comply with today's codes, mainly the potential for cross-connection between the HVAC system and our city drinking water supply. So in doing that, we had to replumb some stuff in the basement, which caused us to then install a second water meter on the system that supplied water to the air conditioning side of our HVAC system specifically. In doing so, we were then metering our water usage, and like all of our city facilities, we pay for the water we use. So since we were metering additional water usage, our water usage here at the city building went up drastically. Because anytime any of the air conditioning units in this building needed to run, it caused it to draw in fresh drinking water to cool the system, and then it was dumped into the sewer, and then it went to the sewer plant and got treated. So because of that, we saw a large increase in our water system. With the renovations at the city building that we plan to do, we would be changing how that works, and instead of essentially running the water through the system and dumping it to waste, we'll pull water into a chiller, and that will then recirculate in a closed loop system separate from the drinking water system, so that we eliminate the possibility of that cross connection. So we won't, basically the only time we'll use water in the air conditioning system at that point is when we fill it at the beginning of the air conditioning season. We'll recirculate it all year, and then the only time we have to refill it is as it depletes. So our water usage will go back down more to normal like we are used to seeing at the city building. So it is a side effect of broken equipment, updating it to comply with the rules and regulations as it relates to backflow and cross-connection prevention. And then as part of the renovations, we'll fix that even further. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Kutchers. Follow-up questions?
Well,
Charlie?
I have one. The highway construction, is that something new, or is that just to reimburse work that was previously scheduled?
I don't know which piece. Okay, so the LRS, so there was, it's work that's already happened. I believe we just missed it in an additional appropriation last year. So it was accounted for in a project, and it just didn't get encumbered over into this year, like encumbrances. So just correcting that to pay for the work, some of the road work.
Thank you.
Further questions by council members? Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of approval on first reading of ordinance 22C25. Christie?
Pike?
Yes.
Rensberger?
Yes.
Brottigam?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Felton?
Yes.
Funk?
Yes.
Christie, is this time sensitive? Do we need to suspend the rules, or can it wait till the next meeting to finalize? Okay, thank you. Moving along the agenda then to first reading of ordinance 23C25. Christie?
Ordinance 23C25. This ordinance, if adopted, would provide additional funding to the GO Bond Number 4, which is improvement projects, 3320001-411, for the $2,940,000 for the new GO bond.
And do we have a motion to bring that to the floor for consideration?
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion and consideration. Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of ordinance 23C25 on first reading. Christie?
Rensberger?
Yes.
Brottigam?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Felton?
Yes.
Funk?
Yes.
Pike?
Yes.
Thank you. Not aware of that being time sensitive. Okay. First reading of ordinance 24C25. Christie?
Ordinance 24C25. This ordinance, if adopted, would establish a municipal riverfront development district and project in accordance with applicable Indiana law.
There a motion to bring ordinance 24C25 to the floor for consideration this evening?
So move. Second.
A motion and second. Council members, before turning it over to further consideration and discussion, you'll be reminded a couple years ago we established subcommittees to look at various ordinances or proposals. This was one of them. That committee did its work, got everything ready to go, and we were waiting for as directed by state statute, appropriate expenditures of state and local funding into the designated areas. And so all that material then has been compiled as exhibits and brought to you for this evening. The purpose of a riverfront development project and district, among other things, is to highlight an area where the city is able to provide businesses or restaurants with additional alcohol sale licenses that are not tied to the population of the community. And so it provides a way of lowering the hurdles and barriers to opening such businesses. And so this ordinance would establish those districts within the community and allow for us to have that flexibility like other communities have. So this time, glad to have any discussion or consideration by council on the matter. And I do know that we've got council members that served on that subcommittee. They're welcome to share their thoughts on the matter as well.
So evidently, all of the areas have to be contiguous? Is that the reason for running all the way down the Little River on both sides of the river?
Well, it has to be within 1,500 feet of the banks of a river
Okay.
to be a riverfront district. So by definition, it's contiguous.
And the areas that you have mapped out are part of this ordinance. If you want to modify or expand it, is it very difficult to do that? Or do you?
So
or you've cap-
any-
You've captured everything you can now?
Any modification or expansion, it's purely driven by, do you have a waterway that meets the definition of a river under state statute, which is just flowing water regularly or irregularly. We've chosen to go only regularly. There are some communities that have gone a different way with it, but we try not to tiptoe up to those lines. Further discussion? Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor on first reading of ordinance 24C25.
Brodigan,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Felton,
Yes.
Funk,
Yes.
Pike,
Yes.
Rensberger.
Yes.
Thank you. And since this ordinance is subject then to further review by the state Alcohol Tobacco Commission, if council would entertain it, I would appreciate suspension of the rules to allow for second and final reading of ordinance 24C25.
Move to suspend the rules?
Second that.
A motion and second on suspension of the rules. Further discussion of the motion? Call the question in favor of suspension. Christie?
Chapman,
Yes.
Felton,
Yes.
Funk,
Yes.
Pike, Rensberger,
Yes.
Brodigan.
Yes.
Thank you. And with that then, we'll call for second and final reading of ordinance 24C25 this evening. Is there a motion to bring it to the floor for consideration and adoption on second and final reading?
Move. Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion and consideration of 24C25 on second and final reading? Not seeing or hearing it at this time, we'll call the question in favor of adoption and approval on second and final reading. Christie?
Chapman,
Yes.
Felton,
Yes.
Funk,
Yes.
Pike, Rensberger,
Yes.
Brodigan.
Yes.
Motion carries. Moving along to miscellaneous items, we have the October budget report. Christie?
Yes, we ended the end of October, the general fund with $8,918,000. The MVH fund, $723,000, and MVH restricted, $409,000. We had park fund with a negative $68,000. That will be rectified once we get settlement in December, and then we've increased the tax rate for next year. Airport fund, $134,000, and landfill, $22,000. The seeded, seeded fund, we have spent $184,000 in October. All of our balances look good going into November, December, finishing up the year.
Further question or discussion by council on the budget and financials of the city? Anything else for the good of the order? Is there a motion for adjournment?
Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.